All right, this is a quick run through of Desmos. This is going to be the graphing calculator program that we use for a little while in the class. What you're going to do is follow this link, desmos.com/calculator, or you can open a new tab and just type desmos.com in the top. It'll take you to the same place. When the program opens, you'll notice you've got your graph, and then you've got these text boxes off to the side. For more text box additions, you can just click below it as many times as you need to. And if you got to go back and change one of the boxes, that's okay. You can do that also. I'm going to get rid of my little recording features here so you can see down in the bottom left corner, there's this keyboard. If you click that, that gives us several options. You can go ahead and type using your regular keyboard, letters, numbers, functions, whatever the case may be. Or if there's something you can't find on your keyboard, you can also click it down in here. This is especially useful when you need parentheses or these inequality arrows, and especially exponents. Let's say you have y equals x squared and you need that little 2. Well, there it is. And then once we're done with it, we don't want it anymore. We can X out of it and open as many tabs as we need for each of the math assignments. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and follow this short assignment. This is what I'd like for you to do as well. See if you can do some of these key features that we're probably going to need at some point in class. Number 1 says I can plot 4 points, one in each quadrant, and turn on their labels. So to do points in each of the quadrants, we're going to do quadrant 1 first. We'll say positive 2, comma 3. And then you'll notice my dot comes up in quadrant 1. Well, if I want to label that, let's call that point A. I'm going to click this little label box, and then I'm going to name it what I'd like to name it. And then it puts an A down there. Okay, down here in box 2, let's do one for quadrant 2. We're going to say negative 2, positive 3. Whoops, I forgot my comma. You'll notice that green dot came up. Let's call this guy label B, point B. Let's go to the third quadrant. We're going to say negative 3, comma negative 4. We'll call this guy point number 3. You can name these things whatever you want to name them. Doesn't really matter for today's purpose. And then the last one, let's say 5, comma negative 2. And let's put a label on him. We'll name this guy Charlie. All right, so we've got points in every quadrant. We've named them whatever we want to name them. We'll probably wind up naming them something more closely associated to whatever the task is that we're trying to do in the future. One feature I want to show you here is if you click on this and kind of hold it, it will change the style of what that looks like. So you'll notice now A is an open circle. I can change it to a red open circle. Just different features here that you can add in should you want to make it look neater. All right, let's go back to the assignment. I can plot a line. Oh, by the way, as you're doing this, if you're not sure what it's asking within the assignment, you can go ahead and click on Solution, and that'll take you to an example that was already made, this being the goal of what you're trying to do. So hopefully that'll help you out as well. So let's look at plotting a line. I'm going to go back and get rid of all these dots. So now we're back at box 1. I'm going to do a simple line, y equals 3x plus 2. And there it's plotted the line. Again, you can hold on this. You can make it a dashed line. You can make it a green line. You can change it up. You'll probably want each line or each dot to look a little different so you can distinguish between each one of them. If you wanted another line, you could just type in y equals 4x. There's a couple of the lines. Let's see what the next one is. I can find where the line intersects the axes. Try clicking the intercepts. So let's go back to these lines. I found that if I want to see where this crosses the x-axis, I can just click it, It's 0, 0. I noticed earlier if this thing was not highlighted, well, now I can't even do it if I wanted to try. But this box at any rate had to be highlighted in order for me to be able to see various points on the graph. So now I'll click on the green line, and now it'll let me see where that one crosses as well. So what I'm doing now is I'm just grabbing the graph anywhere on here, and then I'm dragging it. So I'm holding down my clicker while I drag the mouse down, and then I can even see where these 2 points cross each other. So it looks like it's crossing at 2, 8. If I wanted to distinguish that more, I could then come down to the third box, type 2, 8, and that would put a definite point right there, and I could label this and say intersection of lines, whatever I want to name it. But there we go. Let's go into the next part of the assignment. I can graph 2 lines and find their point of intersection. So we kind of did 3 and 4 at the same time. I can graph a line and sliders for the slope and y-intercept. So here's what they mean by that. We'll get rid of these lines and start over. Say we don't know what the slope and the intercept is. We'll just type in y equals mx plus b. And then it's going to give me the option to add sliders for m and b, which means I get to change the slope and change the y-intercept to whatever I want. So yeah, I'd like to get a slider for all those things. Now right now it's telling me, let me drag my graph back up so we can see the center of it. Right now it's telling me m is between -10 and 10. I can always click that and change it if I want to. Maybe I want it to go from -12, 12. So now my numbers have changed. They're no longer -10, it's now -12. I did that again just by clicking right there. We'll go ahead and keep this guy -10 and +10. Okay, so at any rate, you can see my line. Right now, m is 1 and b is 1. Remember, m is the slope. That's just your rise and run. So that means from each point, let's say we start right here. If I rose 1, ran 1, that would give me to that second point. Up 1, over 1, same thing. And then the b value is the y-intercept. That's just telling me where it's crossing the y-axis. Here's the y-axis. Yep, it's crossing at 1 right there. Now, if I wanted to change that and see what the slope does, that's what this slider bar does. Remember, the bigger the slope, the steeper the line. So look at that. I'm making the line much, much steeper. Can make it less steep. I could make it a negative slope. Now we're going downhill instead of uphill. What the y-intercept does is it's just going to slide that line up and down the y-axis. Right now it's at 1. Let's bump it up to 2. Look, it crosses through 2 right there. Let's bump it up. Let's make this thing go through 4. So we're going to slide this thing up to 4. And there it is. Now it goes through 4. So that's kind of a handy feature, getting the sliders in there. It lets you play with different variables and kind of get a feel for what they do to the equation and to the line. All right, it looks like we're on number 6. I can use an inequality to shade above the line y equals x. So let's get rid of these boxes. We're going to start over again. This is where I told you this keyboard feature comes in handy. Again, let me get rid of those tools. I'm going to type in y. Now I don't want the equals because I want an inequality. I want to be able to shade here. So I'm going to do greater than or equal to, and then I'm going to say x. And look at that. They gave me the y equals x line. It's dark blue. And because it's greater than, all the solutions are shaded above that line. Number 7, I can graph a parabola, change the color and style. So we're going to start over again. This time, wanting the parabola, we're going to type in y equals x, and this time we need squared on it. So we're going to go down here to the keyboard feature squared, and there's our parabola. Now, it asks us to change the colors and the styles. One thing you can do, again, is change what that line looks like. You're going to have to hold on it. I'm going to make this a red line, and let's make them dash for fun. Another way to change the outlook of this thing is to click this wrench. And I can put arrows. Notice now there's arrows right here. I'm going to unclick it and that arrow is going to go away. And the other thing we can do is reverse contrast. So instead of a white graph with black lines, we've now got the opposite of that, a black graph with white lines. I personally prefer having this type of graph. You'll notice the x-axis is highlighted. We definitely want to see that, but sometimes we want to label it. A lot of times it's time that you're labeling on the x-axis, maybe by minutes will be how we're measuring time. And then with the y-axis, we're going to say that is maybe height. Maybe we're dropping things off a building or from a plane. Now, if this was from a plane, we're probably going to have great distances. So we want to change what our graph values are here. Hitting the ground is a zero height. You can't really go below the ground. I guess maybe a meteor or something could hit the ground and indent it a little bit, but we'll say we want to start at zero because you can't go past the ground. If you're in a plane, maybe you are 100 meters up. So you want your graph to go from 0 to 100. So you can play around with that. Oh, I changed the wrong one. Height was the y-axis. So I should have changed the y from 0 to 100. And time, I guess time's got to start at 0 as well because you can't go back in time. But since we're doing minutes, 100 minutes is a little over an hour. I don't know that we'll be graphing things past that point. Let's just say 20 minutes. It's how long something took to hit the ground. So there you go. You can play around with that. Or again, you can go back, start over again. One of the fastest ways to start over. And I guess let me take this wrench off so you can see the full graph. Now you can zoom in and out. That's what these plus and minus signs are here. So if I wanted to zoom back out, there you go. So now I'm not limited in the window. To completely start over again, I'm just going to type Desmos.com, reload. A quick way to scratch everything. All right, number 8 says I can add a table and use it to create a scatter plot. Sorry, I'm trying to remind myself how to, that's right. So once I'm in box 1, you want to click the plus sign. And that's where you can change. You can write little notes. You can write expressions. You can even add images onto your graphs if you wanted to. If you want to put a picture of that plane, you could and show how things were dropping from it and then be able to associate your math to it. There's the table. Let's start off with 0, 0. Just going to put in numbers and then add as many points as we want to add to it. 1, 1. Down here, 2, 2. And you'll notice that's adding the dots as we fill that in. Again, we can change the features of these. So I'm going to hold on this. Maybe I want them to be open dots. Maybe I want them to be X's instead of circles. I'm going to make it blue, and then let's connect the dots. Let's make a line go through each one of those. So just different features. You have to play around with it and get to know it a little better. But as we start to do projects and different things, this is going to help us out. Now, with that being said, you're going to have to be able to turn some of this stuff in. So what you're going to want to do with that regard is be able to go to your drive. You're going to open up a new document. Go ahead and title this, maybe with your name. Beck's Algebra 2 assignment. This is me turning this in. All right, there's a couple ways to turn in your assignment. One way is if you want to show this table, you want to take a screenshot. Now, each person's computer is going to be slightly different. I have the snipping tool for mine. I'm going to capture as much of the screen as I want to capture. I want to definitely show my table. I want to definitely show my line where I've plotted that table. And then I'm going to click Edit and Copy. Go back to my document and paste that in here. This is my graph. We're going to want to title things, label things, be specific. Another way we might do that is, can't remember if it's in the wrench. Oh, there it is. It's this square with the arrow on there. If you want to share your graph, so maybe take a picture of it, screenshot it. I'll put up another video that tells you, if you're using a Chromebook, how to capture the screenshot and paste that as well. But you can also share the graph. And I kind of encourage you to copy this link and to screenshot it if you can, because below my graph, I'm going to show the picture, but should there be a problem or an issue, or maybe I just want to go back again to it later, I'm going to go ahead and put the link in there as well so I can access the image if I need to, or make changes to it. Maybe I did something wrong and I need to go back and fix it. And then the last way to do it, screenshot, click this arrow, grab the link and paste it in there. You can also export the image. And you'll download that as an image file. And then when you open that up, you can go ahead and save that to your computer. And then you can paste that or insert it into the document as well. So a couple ways to do that. You decide what works best for you. And if you still have troubles, just go ahead and let me know and I'll try to help walk you through it again. All right, let's go back to this assignment, see if we covered everything. That, by the way, was number 10. I can save and share a graph I made. I can use the settings menu to change the labels and step sizes of the axes. So we changed the axes already. Let's say we want to change the steps. And what that means is you can see this thing's counting 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. Well, maybe I don't like that. I'm going to click the wrench again. I'm going to say I want the steps to be by ones, not by twos. I want to get out of the wrench. Look at that. Now I can see 0, 1, 2. Now that's just for the x-axis. The y-axis still counts by twos. Well, let's go change that one. The y-axis, add a label. Let's call that again height. That's how you name it. And then the steps, maybe we want to have this guy step by ones also. And then we'll click the wrench and we'll get out of there. All right, I like this picture better. So now let's go ahead and screenshot that. Notice there's no line over here, so maybe I don't want to show that part of the line. Maybe I just want to show this little part of my graph. So I could copy that part, go back to my document. Here's my sweet graph. Paste that in there. Ooh, I don't like the size of that, so what I'm going to do is just touch the image and grab the corner here and shrink it down. And then we'll go below this. This was the awesome table I made to create the even more stellar graph. So let's go back. Let's get that table that we made. Screenshot that. Control V is the shortcut for pasting. Otherwise, you can right click, copy and paste that way. Now, I don't know if you're aware, but you can click these images and these little icons come. Sometimes I like to click wrap text, and that'll let me move pictures next to each other. So that way I can tell if I didn't grab both of them at the same time like I did up here, I can still put them next to each other and show that those two things are associated. All right, double check the assignment one more time. Did we cover everything in here? Yes, I believe we did. And again, remember you can click solution and it'll give you an example of what it is you need to see, what it is you should have been doing.